What is going on, Movie Meals? Movie Meals. Hey, thank you to the Movie Meal patrons. Kimberly Karen, we get some merch. All link in the description. Hey, we always come back.
Yes.
We
Always have, always will.
always come back, baby. Yeah, we're here to talk about all things in the world of whatever the heck we want to talk about. Game day, go Hawks. Go Birds, figure out the
Go
offense.
Birds.
I know this doesn't match, but this comfort hoodie is, as the title suggests, comfortable. So yeah, we're here. Let's Kyle, what do you got first? What do you want to talk about today, Boo Boos? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I think first we can kick things off by trying an idea that we had where every episode we talk about a movie that isn't from this year, but it's one that we watched for the first time that
Oh yeah.
just needs to come out before the current year that we're in. Because we're usually always talking about movies that we talk about that come out in the year that we're, watching them.
Let's
So
call
let's
it
shake it up.
the
Let's watch.
letterboxed highlight of the week. A
I like
letterboxed
it.
highlight of the week. We each pick one movie that didn't come out in 2025 that we reviewed on our letterbox, whether it's a couple years old, super old, and we'll talk about it. How about that? Follow us on Letterbox. You can find me at Movie Meal Al. I think Kyle's Movie Meal Kyle.
That sounds correct.
Should be right there. Go ahead, Kyle. What's yours?
The other day I watched The Way of the Dragon, the Bruce Lee movie where he fights
Dragons.
Chuck Norris at the end.
Oh, and Chuck Norris won?
No, that was the surprising part.
Spoiler. All right, no need to.
Well, why'd you ask?
For me.
Why'd you ask that if you didn't want to know the answer?
I'm in a troll mood today, bucko.
Oh, great. What else is new? No, I caught this on a whim. Wanted to watch another Bruce Lee movie that wasn't just Enter the Dragon, which I saw maybe a year or two ago now, and wanted to check out this one. And also heard that Chuck Norris was in it, so I thought, why not? And I didn't love it. I think I liked it enough, but I think the story itself, while it's weirdly, or not weirdly, but just oddly similar to Roadhouse, he's like a bodyguard type of guy that gets hired to help like a restaurant not be overrun by like gangsters and just bad people. It's a lot duller of a movie than I was anticipating, and the pacing of it is fine. Like, it is a slower paced movie. It has you like really sticking with the characters, really sticking in with the scene, which I appreciated because it's much different in terms of filmmaking compared to today's standards, certainly. But even still, like, the story itself just didn't pull me in enough. Bruce Lee as like an actor was entertaining, was doing what he could, but compared to Enter the Dragon, I think this was like a weaker performance, at least from these two films that I saw. But you know what? Just waiting until like the last 20 minutes where Chuck Norris finally comes in, and then that's when you're geared up. Not that the action wasn't necessarily bad in the movie. It was good, but especially like the stuff that Bruce Lee was doing and just how athletic and just crazy impressive he was with the martial arts moves. Those were good, but I think the fights themselves, again, were just more on the weaker side compared to me having watched Enter the Dragon. But the Chuck Norris fight is a lot of fun and really good and a great way to end the movie. So, yeah,
Nice.
Wish I liked it more, but I liked it enough.
Good. I'll talk about a movie I watched for spook season. Shout out to one of our friends, Zach, who always has some of the best movies you've never heard of recommendations out there. Who a couple, like probably a month and a half ago now, but before Halloween came around, we were talking on the phone, and I was telling him I'm trying to find more spooks, some more non-American spook movies, and he said, "Oh, you should watch 1999's Audition." And I said, "All right, I'm gonna put that at the top of the list." When he suggests a movie, jumps to the top of the list. He suggested a couple movies. I only got to watch one of them, but he said Audition's the one I would watch over The Wailing, but try to watch both of them. I didn't get to The Wailing, but I did get to Audition. This movie, I'll read you my Letterbox review. I said, this movie had me, and in all caps, squirming by the end. Uh, and
All
it's
right.
true. It is not horror in the type of horror I think I was expecting, but it is a slow burn character study where you are just sitting there like, what is going on? It's just about a man who's trying to reconnect and find love again in his life. And when he thinks he has it, boy, does he not. And man, it really like it is a slow burn up until you get to the last 30 minutes or so, and then it just hits you, and it is just violent and insane and intense, and I was loving every second I was watching it. I thought it was brilliant. It delivered on the spooks during spooky season, and that to me is very important to get them spooks in.
Mm,
uh, I had a blast with Audition. If you are interested in body horror and more intimate pain, that's the type of pain it kind of gives.
mhm.
More intimate, we're going to really focus on visually showing you insane stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of an in between of like a torture porn, like a Saw, and more, and like this type of pain that you would see like in 127 hours when you're really watching him cut his arm off and stuff. Like it's kind of in between there. So it's
Spoiler.
not torture porn, but it's that kind of body horror. And I
Gotcha.
I loved every second of it because I love a movie that really builds, and it builds in its characters, and it makes you sit there and be like, whoa, what is going on here? And then
Mm.
once it hits, it's like, dang, all right. So yeah, if you are into spooks, I know spook season has ended, but you should check out 1999's Audition. It was seriously fantastic, directed by Tatsuki Mike. Um, yeah, it was great. A couple critics I follow have reviewed it. A couple friends of mine had already seen it,
Yeah.
given it some good ratings that I really liked. So yeah, I highly recommend it if you are into that type of horror.
And I just saw that it's available on Tubi as well,
Where do you
which
think I watched it? We're big fans of Tubi. Hey,
be our
give me the
sponsor,
commercial.
Tubi.
Hey, Tubi, you don't need to sponsor us, to be honest. I still shout out how great you are. I love Tubi.
Yeah, that's
I
true. We
see
will do
free
that.
on Tubi. I'm like, great. I know when I'm going to get a couple breaks, run to the bathroom, and I'm good to go. Love
Sure.
it. Watch Spotlight on there, free, not that long ago.
Oh,
Great time.
we did both
Uh,
watch Spotlight the other day.
I know. Yeah, Kyle
Yeah.
watched it, told me to watch. He was like, "Hey, like if you want a good rewatch, this movie's so good." And then you ever have those days where you're just home and you're like, like it was just me all night. Like I knew, Autumn wasn't
Yeah.
coming home for a while, and I was like, I could not figure out what I wanted to watch. I knew that there was an itch that needed to be scratched, but I couldn't figure out what was gonna do it. So I kept trying stuff. I even started a different movie for like 10 minutes, and I was like, this isn't doing it for me. It's just not hitting. I just kept looking. I kept looking. Eventually I was like, I randomly was like, oh, Kyle brought up Spotlight. 2 minutes in the Spotlight, I was like, yep, here it is.
Yeah.
Hitting what I
Yeah.
wanted. So yeah, all
Yeah.
right.
That one was not fun. It's not a fun movie, but it is just a
Sad, but
movie
it's
that
so good.
just sucks you right in, just with
Yeah.
the horrors that it displays, but it's also just a great story about the news and how important like journalism is. Very good
Yeah.
journalism movie.
Love,
Yeah, I'm glad it holds
love a
up
good
very well
journalism
too.
movie. I love a good newspaper figuring stuff out,
Yeah,
writing a good story. Love it.
yeah,
All right,
especially
Kyle.
especially nowadays too.
Yeah,
hmm
true.
Uh,
What's next?
man, we're gonna be just reviewing stuff this whole day. We got a lot to catch up on. So how about House of Dynamite? That's probably like the oldest thing we've watched in the past couple
Did
of
we not
weeks.
talk about it last time we filmed?
I don't remember. I don't think we did.
I feel
I don't
like
remember talking about it. At least I texted you about it.
yeah, I guess not. Yeah, House of Dynamite. What'd you think? I know I got a lot of crap for its ending. What'd you think, Kyle?
I kind of get why, because the movie doesn't really earn it necessarily. Um, it's an idea that makes sense in terms of the movie being centered around what happens like within like the walls of the government when like a worldwide threat like goes into effect so fast and everyone that is a part of like coming up with a solution is like flying by the seat of their pants. It's
Yeah, and
an
it's
idea.
asking a question of what would happen if a nuclear strike's actually heading towards the United States? Like that's what the movie is
Yeah.
about. That's the question it's asking, is like what would actually happen. And I
Hmm.
know a lot of people on each side are probably like, well, it wouldn't happen like the way they did in the movie. It would, it wouldn't, it doesn't matter. But anyway,
Well,
continue.
well, it did feel like it was very realistic. And it was very interesting with like some of the characters that are put on display because it does show like them having to step up to the task and some of them being like obviously very nervous that they're gonna screw up or make a mistake. And then some other figures may have like good intentions, but they may not be like the smartest people in power or not like the most logical people in power in terms of like what decisions they have to be making. But I think the issues that come to play is that it feels like with the way that it's structured, that it's just rotating the same talking points and rotating the same plot points as well. So I think when the first third of the movie is very good because it's a great hook and it gets you in and you're like, all right, I can get on board with this. But then the next two acts are the same plot, but just from different perspectives. But it doesn't feel like there's much else to those perspectives. So it kind of becomes a bit dry in terms of entertainment value by the end. Subject matter wise, I think it works well. Maybe it needs to be tweaked a bit more so that way it really sticks the landing, but still, it's doing good things and doing interesting things too, from director Catherine Bigelow's perspective of how she's displaying it. But I think just in the end, I can kind of understand why people were so upset by the ending just because the rest of the movie, is just trugging along and not really building to something a bit more climactic. For me, I thought it was fine. I don't really mind ambiguous endings for the most part, and I think in this situation, it's fine enough. I mean, it's either we see the nukes go off or we don't see the nukes go off, so it's not like one side is a very nice ending anyway, so at least like the ambiguity of it could like it both causes like dread but also could cause hopefulness depending on how you want to look at it in my opinion.
Yeah, they
But
leave it
at
up
the
to
end,
the audience.
yeah, it depends on the audience. But man, did it really show that people lately do not like ambiguous endings.
And I
So
think
for
about real world events, especially like it's
yeah,
not a movie like an Inception that it's
messes with your mind.
sci-fi. Yeah.
Sci-fi,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I had a good time with it. I actually thought like because I watched it during spooky season, I was like, man, this movie's kind of delivering on the spooks that
Yeah.
I like have been kind of wondering because it was like it is scary. It's a real world thing. A lot of the characters are like, is this fake? Like, what's this can't be right? But they have minutes to be like, oh no, this is right, and we have to make huge decisions. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's scary in that way. And I thought the performances by everybody was good. I do think the decision by Catherine to kind of jump around and tell one perspective and then we go to another perspective didn't necessarily work. I think the ending is fine. I get what it's saying. It's not necessarily what I think I prefer for
Mm-hmm.
this movie specifically. I do think
Yeah.
it's fine. Like I'm okay with it. I get what she was going for. It's interesting. This is her first movie full length feature film since 2017's Detroit. Like she hasn't really been doing much lately, and I think that's very interesting. And she is very good at telling these type of stories, which is uh, interesting from her background. I don't think you expect somebody like Catherine Bigelow to pump out. You wouldn't expect her to pump out a Hurt Locker and a Zero Dark 30 or a House of Dynamite, but she likes telling these more political war style movies, and
Yeah.
she usually nails it out of the park. I liked this one. I love Zero Dark 30. I love The Hurt Locker. I think those are two great movies. We can talk about how accurate and inaccurate they are. Like that's not the point. It's not a
Right.
documentary. I'm here to watch a movie that is telling a different story, but
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, I think the movie all around was just solid. Like I think it's definitely a movie that a lot of people aren't going to like. I get why they don't, and I get why they do. So yeah, I thought it was fine. And anything that's got Rebecca Ferguson in it is always a 10 out of 10 for me. I mean, I could watch her in anything. She is fantastic, even in a
No,
bad
true,
movie. So
true. Yeah, Catherine Bigelow. I hope that her next feature comes a bit sooner. I was listening to which podcast was it? I think it was Blank Check's podcast. They talked about this movie and they were mentioning that Bigelow just had like some development struggles, like getting other projects off the ground. So that's why, and like pandemic as well, probably. But that's just why it took a long time for her to, come back and direct a feature. Um,
Mm.
yeah, but anyway, just
She has
wanted to
nothing
mention
on
that.
IMDb at the moment. She is not currently slated for a project on IMDb for a
Yeah,
director.
maybe she's just that mysterious. I don't like when it comes to. I don't know. Like usually, you can hear about a director like trying to develop something. I feel like I've heard nothing about her for like after Detroit for many
Well, she's
years.
probably just like, hey, I'm
Very
just gonna
private.
enjoy my millions and be with my family now. And she's probably still cashing checks from any Avatar from the divorce with James Cameron. So,
Yeah,
uh,
not bad. Not a bad way
bro,
to live.
bro, shout out though. This would be a good segue though. Shout out to James Cameron and Guillermo del Toro. They used to live together and they showed each other animes that they liked
Is
from
that
back in
really?
the
Is that
90s and
true?
80s. Yeah.
Ooh.
And Guillermo was telling it. I think he was on the Criterion Collections YouTube channel. If it wasn't them, it was a similar channel where you go through DVDs and talk about it. And he was talking about how he said something interesting, and we can segue here into his film Frankenstein.
I actually haven't seen it yet. I'm still waiting
Oh,
to
is
like
it not on the
watch it.
docket?
It wasn't on it for me. I didn't realize that you
Oh,
had
then we
seen
can
it. But
wait.
if you want to
Oh
talk about it
yeah.
now, by
Oh,
all
I've seen
means,
it.
go
Well, I'm
ahead.
just saying. Uh, I think he said something that I found very interesting, and when we
Hmm.
went and saw this weekend, went and saw Running Man, they showed the trailer for Fire and Ash. And as
Mm.
much as we are done with the sequels and everything, Guillermo said something that I thought was really interesting, where he said nobody today is really making a new world anymore. Like he said, Lucas and Cameron are the two that had done it and have continued to do it at least somewhat, and then everybody else stopped. It was Star Wars and Pandora, like it and Avatar. It was like, and even though the Avatar movies are almost exactly the same movie every single time, which they really are, and this newish trailer that I had not seen until Saturday, I was like, oh
Uh,
wow, we really are just new tribe, new fight, new tribe, new fight. Um, same old, but still,
I'm in, baby.
at least we're seeing cool new creatures and we're seeing cool new ideas and people being creative, and you can tell that the art department is enjoying what they're doing, that their task is make a bunch of alien looking whales, make a bunch of new monsters and new animals and new things.
Mm.
Like that's something Star Wars is lacking right now. Like that's something that the few worlds we have, whether you want to talk about sequels or not, Guillermo was talking about that, and I thought that was really interesting. And I was like, that's a great point from one of the masters. But
No,
uh,
definitely a great point.
yeah,
Yeah.
what do you got next?
You sure you don't want to talk about Frankenstein? That's okay
I
if you
mean, I
do.
can briefly talk about it. I
Yeah.
had a blast with it. I know some people are not. I know it's not the storytelling that they wanted out of Guillermo. I feel like he adapt. I mean, he's been wanting to make this for so long, and I think he wanted to somewhat be faithful to the novel. And I think the way he told it worked for me. I loved the atmosphere and the way
Hmm.
he set it up. It felt like a mix of Poor Things atmosphere and like shots with Nosferatu to me. I
Oh,
thought it was
okay.
breathtaking. I loved every scene. Jacob Elordi nailed it. Although low key,
Wow.
pretty hot for a monster, bro. Um, but I thought I've heard some people say maybe Mia Goth's miscast and different things like that, and I just
Hmm.
disagree. I had a blast. To me, Guillermo's one of those guys where just getting enter his brain for 2 hours, I'm having the best time of my life. Like he told a great story that we don't see very often anymore in these in today's cinema. Like we're just not being driven into a world like this. I
Yeah.
loved the adaptation. I thought it was really good. I thought the
Hmm.
performances were great. Oscar Isaac knocks out of the part. He's probably going to get overlooked at the Academy Awards. I think a lot of the actors in this will, but I hope they don't. But I had a great time with it. I loved it a lot more than I've seen some of our friends and people love
Hmm.
it. So I think it is. Some people are loving it and not liking it. Some people though, who I've seen say they don't like it, boggles my mind, because it's like this is the type of character study you usually prefer. You usually love a slower, let's really dive into the madness in the world that they're doing. So it was just kind of interesting to me, but I had a great time with it. Great time.
Interesting.
And seriously, the score and the shots, the cinematography, the set design was blowing me away. I kept saying it throughout the movie to Autumn. I was like, I am just blown away by how this movie looks. Like, I am into it. And there's
Mm-hmm.
a couple scenes here and there that's a little CGI-esque, a little rubbery at times. We're on a soundstage, but to me, it still worked just fine. I had a
Sure,
great time
sure.
with it.
Were you able to see this at one of the Philly theaters, or was this on Netflix?
No, I watched it at home.
Yeah, yeah,
Didn't get
that's
a
what I
chance. We
have to
tried to
do.
go see it at the festival, but we turned the lights off, put it on the big TV, put the phones down, and had a good
Mm.
time. So
Yeah, I just want to find a time where I know I have like a few hours to myself at the end of the day and I can do what you did, like just have the lights off, like just completely focus on this. Because unfortunately, Del Toro, I think he's expressed this, that he's frustrated that he can't be having his movies go to cinemas, or he's not working with distributors that go to cinemas anymore, that he does have to go to Netflix, which I mean, he probably got like bigger checks than he normally does to be able to make Frankenstein. So I guess props for him for
yeah,
that. But
I
it
wonder
is
if
a
he
shame that, despite it being released in some select theaters, it's really just going straight to
and it
TV.
yeah it didn't. Those select theaters were really select because for me being
Oh
in one of
yeah,
the most major cities in the country, it only played at the festival, and I could not find it at any other theater. Just playing like out in theaters like they said they were gonna. So
totally.
it's a bummer. And I do know that he's talked about, I think it's very interesting that he the sim I think it was the same interview where he was talking about James Cameron, where he said that one specific shot in Frankenstein he's been dreaming about for like 30 years. He's had this idea in his head, and he said that when he was actually shooting it, that he could tell that something was leaving him, and that now he is interested in telling stories outside of the world of monsters. And
Oh.
to him, he was like, I am interested in shots I don't normally do because that's not the way I think about how to do this. And there's these rumors that he wants to do Phantom of the Opera, and like that would be very interesting. Like I
Mm-hmm.
am interested in what a movie that is not in Guillermo's monster head creature world is. I'm very
Yeah,
interested in what that will be, because I think he will bring something very unique to other styles of movies. It really makes me want to rewatch Shape of Water after seeing Frankenstein. I wanted to rewatch some of his movies.
that'd be a fun one to
Chronos I've never
rewatch.
seen. It's been on my list for a long time to watch, and every spooky
Yeah.
season I try to get to it and I just either forget or don't get to it. But I might sit down and try to watch that over like the Thanksgiving holiday or something, and Shape of Water and
Mm-hmm.
Pan's Labyrinth, maybe a fresh rewatch and stuff, because his storytelling in his world is really really cool.
Yeah, man.
But
He's a really fun director
and he's a good guy.
and a good guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
really seems that way.
big fan.
Uh, how about we move on then to The Running Man? I think that some of the things that we were talking about with Frankenstein ties in well with The Running Man too.
Yeah, have you seen the original? I've never seen it.
I have seen it. I saw it like a month ago, actually.
Oh, and was it similar plot wise, just overall? Were they both
Kind
trying to
of.
adapt the book?
Kind of. This version of The Running Man is much more
Faithful?
faithful to the book, just in terms of, partially in terms of tone and some story, and maybe not all of the story beats, but just like tonally, it's like a more serious book. So this is kind of taken a bit more seriously, while I would say that Schwarzenegger's Running Man is much more campy, and weirdly more sci-fi.
Yeah, I mean, just from
Yeah.
images I've seen or clips I've seen, like that makes sense, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And that one itself, I wasn't partial to it. Like of Schwarzenegger's films, I would say this is one of
yeah,
his weaker ones.
I think it's a cult classic, really. But
Yeah, probably.
yeah. So yeah, you want to talk about Running Man, the Glenn Powell, Edgar Wright?
Yeah, this one was very interesting to be watching because it was equal parts entertaining and equal parts messy. And I haven't had a movie experience that has felt like that in a while, which was part of the reason why uh, I'm still thinking about the movie. It's been a few days now, but it was an odd watch because I could see what um, Edgar Wright was trying to go for with this movie in terms of just being very direct and having like this built up anger about the unfortunate circumstances that people go through, and especially like by today's standards, that there's just such anger and frustration that we feel like we need to just shout and scream out about. And this movie is trying to do it in that way. It is trying to like feel that way in terms of its tone, in terms of like how the main character is supposed to feel, in terms of like its action sequences. Either like it has a very angry, uh, passionate feeling towards it, but yeah, at the same time, it also felt like it wasn't quite in Edgar Wright's wheelhouse. It doesn't feel like Edgar Wright was quite able to nail down that tone, so it felt a bit uneven for that reason. But in terms of like saying the entertainment value of the movie, I do think like there were some good action sequences. I do think there was like a nice energy to it up until maybe like the last act. It is very funny in parts. Like I think Glenn Powell
He's great.
is
No, Glenn did great.
yeah. He's great in the movie. I think in the beginning he does struggle with the character, but I think that has a lot of it to do with the writing of the character. But you could see like as the movie is like gearing up and moving along with its story and like is building on just like the energy and the tone of the movie, you could see him like settling himself into the role. You could see it like being a bit more natural to him. It just took him a while to get there, but I wouldn't blame that on him. Maybe a bit with the direction, but mostly with the script. The script itself, I was kind of disappointed by, because again, like the intentions of it are good, but I just think Edgar Wright wasn't able to quite nail down what he wanted to say or how to say it, in a way that wasn't just too much, I suppose. Like it does kind of have like an exhaustion to it that goes in a negative way and not in a way that's supposed to leave you like remembering the movie so much. And it also was a weaker script to me just because it felt like it was explaining the wrong things or reminding audiences of the wrong things way too often. Like it would have these points to where it repeats itself saying, oh, you're supposed to remember this character is angry all the time, or remember this character has a wife and kids. And it does a lot of like feeling like the audience isn't going to be able to remember those character beats or those moments in the movie that we already knew prior. So it's just an odd script that felt like it didn't trust its audience, which I found kind of disappointing. But still, I think with Edgar Wright's direction, there was plenty of good action sequences that I enjoyed. It had like an energy to it that he just didn't quite nail down, but I thought was with good intention. And Glenn Powell is very entertaining. And also some of the side characters, such as like Coleman Domingo's character, Michael Cera's character, very good moments and very good highlights. But yeah, just a very big mixture for me in terms of entertaining and just being a messy movie.
You know, I agree with the messiness, but I disagree that it is the script. To me, this movie reminded me a lot, weirdly, of the Karate Kid Legends. There is a great movie somewhere in here. Which is crazy for a movie that's 2 hours. It needed another hour. I felt like Edgar was really pushing a lot, like that. This movie was trying real hard to adapt every scene that he loves from the novel into it. So we were speed rushing through things where it made it feel like, oh, I'm angry or I'm this. And all the things you were saying, I agree with, but I think that came down to the editing and the choices of Edgar for when he wanted to cut and show different scenes in the film. Like I think it really came down to that. I think it was an example of bad editing and bad pacing. And I think I had fun. Like I had a good time. I thought the movie was fine. I laughed a handful of times. I agree all the performances are great, but like even like I don't think Glenn Powell is struggling in the performance at all. I think the editing is not putting him in a good position. I think you can tell that it's like, oh, there were scenes that were shot that was supposed to make this moment feel a little better. There are scenes that are shot that are meant to make him feel, to really show us these things. And to be honest, I was sitting watching the movie and I was like, I don't normally agree with this take, but if any book needs a TV show 4-season adaptation, I think it's The Running Man. I was like, if you put Glenn Powell and Edgar Wright and you gave them a season and you did 30 days and you did 30 total episodes and did maybe a couple more and you cut that into 3 seasons on HBO, I think you have a great show. And every day is a different battle with him. I think that is where this movie would have, or like this idea would have shined better.
Hmm.
because it felt like this was just too big of a story to tell in 2 hours. There was too much going on. Even for him only lasting, I think, I guess small spoiler, he doesn't go the whole 30 days. He goes like 18 or something. But I just felt like there was a lot more on the cutting room floor of this movie that would have helped flesh out some of the moments that do really work and help the moments that didn't work as well that are kind of rushed through. That's kind of what I thought. And I think
Yeah.
Edgar, he hasn't made a movie since I think it's 2021's Last Night in Soho, which
Yeah.
was good but wasn't a box office hit. He hasn't been hitting at the box
Mm-mm.
office, so The Running Man might have been a bit more of a compromise with the studio. Hey, make something a little more generic, make something a little bit more, don't put as much Edgar Wright into it, and let's compromise here. If you hit, maybe we'll pay you
Yeah.
to make a little bit more of an Edgar Wright movie, and sometimes you've got to do that. So I
I
think,
know
I mean,
he's wanted to make The Running Man. Like, I know for
yeah,
years he has said that, but it could have been both the best of both worlds as well.
yeah, and
You
you never
like
know,
what
maybe
you're
the
saying.
studio came in and said, hey, we're not putting a 2 hour and 40-minute movie, and you got to cut this down, and he had no choice. So
Yeah.
uh and I've seen some interviews with him. He definitely had passion for the project.
Hmm.
He was enjoying making this movie, and it's fun. A lot of the people I had a lot of people in my theater for an IMAX screening, and people were laughing. People seemed to be enjoying themselves.
Oh,
So
good.
I
Yeah.
think the movie is gonna somewhat make some money. I hope, but I mean, I had fun with it. I do not think it's a bad movie by any stretch of the mean, but I think with the name Edgar Wright for cinephiles, you expect more, and people are let down by that because the
Oh,
people
yeah.
who really love Edgar Wright love when he really dives into his world and his brain, and that this doesn't do that as much. He
Yeah.
gives a little back to the kind of base action community, and that's okay. It's okay
Yeah.
for a director to take a swing and try some stuff a little different here. So I
Yeah.
mean, I appreciate him trying to be a little more out there with some of the stuff he was doing and try some different
Hmm.
things, but it was fun. It's a fun movie. It's fine. It's definitely better
Yeah.
than the original from everybody I've heard. I mean, I haven't seen it, but everybody's saying it's definitely better than the Schwarzenegger movie. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I'd maybe give this a leg up, although there are still good elements to the original Running Man. I'm glad that you brought up like the cinephile thing with the attachment to Edgar Wright because I was very surprised by the amount of negativity that was coming towards the Running Man because Edgar Wright is usually a director that you can count on. And coming out of this movie, I would still agree with the notion that you can count on Edgar Wright to deliver you an entertaining movie. So I don't necessarily agree with everyone who is like way more on the negative side, but just the complaints I've heard about him, like feeling like he was very sauceless with like his direction and that this did not feel like an Edgar Wright movie. I get those components of it, but I don't necessarily blame him at the same time because I don't think it's such a bad thing to like not always do something in your lane. I think it is okay for directors to um
branch
like
out a little bit.
branch out and like have a different visual style or do something differently with their direction. So I thought like at least that critique was a bit on the unfair side from what I was reading from critics, but I also understand that this movie is definitely, while again entertaining, it is a bit all over the place and it doesn't feel like it's very focused compared to most Edgar Wright movies to where, despite him doing a lot of stuff through his direction, there is still like a through line and it all still lands very well, which sadly doesn't quite work with the Running Man, but still there's good moments in it and it's good entertainment. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fine.
What else up to review?
You want to jump to Bugonia next?
Bugonia. Yeah, sure.
You want to kick it off? What'd you think?
I had a blast. I think Yorgos is really interesting because I've seen a lot of people kind of turn on him in this one, and it's like
Okay.
you sat through The Lobster and liked it. Like I do not like The Lobster of his, but I liked The Favorite. I thought it was like a lot better. I remember going to that being like, why? I like, wow, I didn't like The Lobster really, but I really liked this movie. And then Poor Things I loved. And then this one I had a blast with. I like when he gets kind of crazy. About halfway or about the beginning of the movie in the trailers, I sat back and I started thinking about some of the like where this movie might go. And I don't want to give anything away, but I remember thinking, oh, I think I've got an idea where this is going to go because I just remembered who I'm dealing with here. This is Yorgos. And
Mm.
then halfway through the movie, I was like, maybe I'm wrong. And then it was like,
Oh.
oh no, it's Yorgos. I'm right. Uh,
Mm.
and it worked for me. It's weird. It's crazy. And to be honest, sometimes I think I'm going to be a little crazy here. Sometimes I think that
Be crazy.
the people I've seen some people really diss this movie, and sometimes it's hard not to think that the people that don't like this just don't like it because Emma Stone wasn't having an absurd amount of crazy naked sex. And it's like,
Really?
I don't know. Some people online I've seen, it's like the
Hmm.
comparisons I saw to Poor Things and things being like, why is it not Poor Thing? Why is it not this? Why is it not that? Blah 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 blah. And it's like, I don't know. It just starts to feel like is the only reason you liked Poor Things but hate all his other movies because Emma Stone is having an absurd amount of sex. Like, I don't know.
Is this you don't have to like give an example, but is it critics or is it just random internet
Both, a little bit of both.
people? Both. Interesting. Okay.
Um,
I
Probably more
mean,
random people that I saw, but um, I mean, Yorgos either hits or he doesn't. Kinds of Kindness stinks. Kinds of Kindness is bad.
yeah.
And I don't understand when people. I've seen people say they don't like this, but they like Kinds of Kindness, and to me, that's crazy. Like Kinds of Kindness is a whole lot of nothing. There's nothing happening. This has a legit plot point. Like
Mm-hmm.
it actually has a
Mm-hmm.
story. I had a blast. I thought the movie was unhinged and crazy and funny and dark, and I dug it. I dug it a lot. There were a few things that disappointed me that it was like, oh, because it's Yorgos, we're not going to get the direction I wish this kind of went in,
Mm-hmm.
being maybe a little more creepy. Because I think
Mm.
there was a cool horror movie you could have put at the end of this movie that doesn't happen because it's Yorgos and he's a little more of a goofy dude. But yeah, I still had a blast with it. I thought this movie was a huge step up from Kinds of Kindness and better, much closer to Poor Things. It's not going to be a
Right.
massive, I think, Oscar hit. I do think the performances though have a real shot. I
Jesse
think
Plemons should.
Jesse and Emma definitely have a nomination. I think
Mm-hmm.
should be. Um,
Honestly,
but
if
yeah,
that third actor, oh, I'm spacing on his name now, but he was one of
oh,
my favorite characters of that movie. If he gets supporting
supporting
nom,
role.
no chance, but I would love it. I would eat that
I
up.
think he has a chance.
Really? Okay.
I
I
mean,
hope
I think he
so.
does.
Hmm.
But yeah, go
I
ahead.
I wish I loved this as much as you did. I liked it, but I think I'm a bit more muted on the movie than you are. I do agree with you that in terms of like how the movie progresses and the vibe of it, the dark comedy aspect of it, the subject matter, it all works really well. Like it is all a blend of those things, and it is very entertaining to watch. And there was like maybe one or two scenes where like I don't get like creeped out or shocked by much when it comes to the movies I watch these days, but there are like one or two scenes where I was like having to like take a breath for a second, be like, wow, I just watched that. That was a
Yeah, I think
very
there's a
dark but
handful.
very effective. Um, yeah, as I was saying, Jesse Plemons rules. Emma Stone, I'm loving these crazy roles that she's taking, especially with Yorgos acting as her director. Like, I just think it's such an interesting arc from any sort of actor that we've seen in quite some time, and it's effective. Like she is like leaning into this and she's really giving it her all, and she does it in Begonia as well. um yeah,
Aiden
and that
Delbise
third actor
is
I want to
the
shout out
other
as
is
well,
him.
but
That's his
I'm
name.
spacing on.
His name is
um,
Aiden Delbise. I think is how you would say his last name. I apologize if I'm butchering it, but he was very very good. He was very good in the movie.
yeah, and his character acts
It's
partially as like our eyes
tragic.
and ears of the
It's
movie. Very
tragic.
tragic character
Yeah.
too. um yeah, weirdly enough, the story does have a bit of relatability to it in terms of like the rich and the elite versus the lower class that is almost in like the um, internet bubbles of conspiracy theories and just very much cooped up thinking that they're the only ones that are right and everyone else is wrong. Just those types of subject matters and those types of two very big contrasts of people like going at it with each other practically in this movie, which does create like some entertainment value, but also just some very good social commentary. But weirdly, at the end of the day, I think that the movie needed a bit more mystery and needed a bit more meat to talking about subject matter. Not that I don't think that
Hmm,
talking about its theme sticks the landing. I think I was just expecting a bit more meat to the story from Yorgos, because I am used to Yorgos really having much more layers to it, and this one was very more surface level, which I guess isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just dependent on the person that's watching, but it just surprised me a bit, and it left me feeling underwhelmed. Um,
interesting. I think it's got plenty of meat, plenty
yeah.
of
Oh,
sauce.
yeah. But I could see it working just fine for people, but it just surprised me personally. But the mystery aspect of the movie I wish was handled a bit better, because like you were describing with Yorgos, and how you can kind of like, he weirdly thinks he's a mysterious dude, but he's also not a mysterious dude. So with the way that the mystery plays out, I wish I wasn't able to see it coming. Like, I just didn't have a moment where I was like, well, maybe it's not this. Hopefully, I don't spoil anything with explaining it that
You know
way,
what? I'm
but
just gonna go ahead. Spoilers, because I want to bring up a point. This is spoilers for the ending of
Begonia?
Bugonia. So if you haven't
Yeah.
seen the movie, stop listening right now and skip ahead about like 2 minutes or something. But to me, I think a lot of people are left disappointed because they, again, spoilers. I think they didn't want it to actually be aliens. I think they went in with the idea that this was going to be a really dark satirical comedy and commentary on
Hmm.
today's society. And in
Hmm.
reality, it's not, because it actually is aliens. And that's what hit me at the trailers. I was like, oh, because I was sitting there thinking about the movie and I was like, it's not actually going to be aliens. Wait, this is Yorgos. I bet it actually is aliens.
I did that
And
too.
I actually think that's why Emma's so good, because up until Emma actually beams up, her performance is so good that you still don't know if she's playing a bit with this guy,
Hmm.
or even once he's blown up, it's like, is it still actually aliens, or is she just really meeting this crazy guy at his level? So that's why it worked so well for me. I feel like the people that it didn't work as well for didn't want it to be aliens. They wanted it to be a much more commentary on today's society and how people go to that lengths. And they didn't get that. And I think some people are left disappointed. But that's just my take anyway. But
I also could see it just being me knowing too much about this director and this director's style. I bet if it was some random person that walked in on this movie blind, they could be entertained by the mystery of like, is she an alien? Is she not an alien? Maybe that's part of it for me too. But you know, still good, effective, but expecting a bit more from him at the same time.
all right, fair enough. Spoilers are
Yeah.
over. Kyle, what's next? What else did you want to talk about with the little bit we got left?
I want to talk about Predator, Sorry Baby, and then we can get into the Vince Gilligan show. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, I haven't seen Predator yet.
Oh, okay. I'll just be
Go
very
ahead.
quick on it. If you like The Mandalorian, I think you'll like Predator Badlands. Like, it really is, when you see the structure of the story, when you see like how things play out, even the tone of it, it feels like Mandalorian but Predator.
I mean, I've seen the trailer. He's gonna carry her around the whole time. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So it's good. It's fun. It has some good comedy to it. Has some very good action. Honestly, some very good mixture of CGI and practical action. This director, Dan Trachtenberg, I think that's how you pronounce his
Mm-hmm.
last name. Um, yeah, he did a great job with Prey. I had a blast watching
Great
Predator.
movie.
It's a fun action movie. I think it is a PG-13 as compared to an R rating, so I do kind of miss like it being a much more
Oh,
violent,
Violet. Yeah.
yeah, for like the Predator. But if you're younger, like a teenager or something, this could be a nice intro to like Predator, and then you could watch some other Predator movies, if that matters at all. But yeah, it's fine. It's fun. It's humorous. It's got a good mishmash of everything. It's entertaining. It's a good time. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. You want to talk about Sorry Baby?
Yeah, I do. Because I finally watched it on HBO. I wasn't able to see it at the theater, but I thought it was very good. Um, it's a movie that uh, is about, without spoiling too much, there's a terrible tragedy that happens for a young woman, and unfortunately, like it's a story that kind of shows how she's living through it and letting life go by as she's both like thinking about it and not thinking about it. It's a story that tells about how people process and grieve through trauma, both in sadness and in comedy. And it's kind of a story that just shows like how you both have to live with it and accept it, but also like have to fight back against it when you have a tragedy happen to you. Um, and it's a very quiet movie, but it is effective with some very great direction by Eva Victor. Um, I want to look up the actress's name here in a second who leads this movie because I'm unfortunately blanking on it now, but she
You
is.
just said it. It's the same person. She directed the movie, Kyle.
Oh, really? I thought it was just the director that I didn't
Eva
realize she
Victor
was
is
the lead in
the
it.
writer, director, and star.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
surprised you
triple.
didn't know that.
No, I just missed that completely. In the credits,
Yeah, this is
but
kind of her first real jump to me. I mean, she's been acting here and there on a lot of stuff, but I have actually never really seen her in anything. I was just quickly looking through her
mm-mm.
IMDb again, and I've never seen any of the stuff she's been in. So she
No, but
had a lot of
whew.
what's the actress's name in who did I can't even remember. It's like Phoebe something. Um uh
Phoebe Waller Bridge.
what's yeah, maybe. Um
Do you know what she's done?
uh she was supposed to be in the Mr. and Mrs. Smith thing with Donald Glover and was in Solo as the
Yeah, that's
robot.
her. Yeah,
Phoebe Waller-Bridge, yeah, she's got a very
yeah.
lot of her. That's her style. They felt
You
very
could feel it.
similar,
Yeah.
quirky. Uh,
Ooh.
yeah, yeah. That they had a very similar vibe to me.
Yeah. Well, shoot, great job on her part then, doing all three of those things. Um, but yeah, it's nuanced, but yet very not surface level, but it's nuanced, but yet it's very direct. With its approach in this subject matter, it's effective. Uh, has some great comedy to it. Dark, dark black comedy, but it still is very good nonetheless. Um, yeah, a very quiet movie, but one that I encourage people to give a chance and go watch because it's very, very good.
Could be triggering for some people though with its
Yeah,
subject matter for
good point.
sure. Yeah, I really liked the movie. Her performance was spectacular. I think she's probably in line for a nomination. I do not think she's the leader right now in Best Actress. Um,
Probably
the
not.
things
No.
I've heard about Jessie Buckley and Hamnet, man, I'm really excited to see that. That's one of the movies I'm really, really hyped for.
Hmm.
But really wanted to see that at the festival. It was going to be the only one we were going to try to go to, and then didn't even get to go to that. But anyway, I thought this was really good. I thought her direction was overall very good, especially for a first real directorial debut. Um, I did think, and granted, look, if you've seen the movie, I'm coming from a very different perspective. Obviously, like we're coming from this is a very serious subject matter, so the things we say obviously don't really matter at the end of the day because we don't go through that type of stuff. But I
Mm.
did think sometimes the humor felt a little not realistic. I felt like sometimes it was like, I don't know, some of the scenes I was like, all right, this doesn't feel like trauma. It doesn't feel like it just feels like they wrote a scene that they thought was going to be funny that ultimately is just kind of mean. But I also get what they're going for. But that only happened for me a couple of times. Overall, I thought the movie was
Okay.
really good. I thought some of the scenes were incredible. There's a scene eating a sandwich that is spectacular. I mean, that is a hard hitting performance. There's a lot of really good shots, good choices in this movie that are really, really good. I mean, it is a great debut by her
Yeah.
for directing. I wouldn't be shocked if she got a directing nom. I also wouldn't be shocked if she doesn't, with the way
Yeah,
that the
it's in that
movie was
category.
going. So
Hmm.
I think it was really good. I think it touches on some very very serious stuff. But overall, I thought it was really really solid. Lucas Hedges is in it. This is the type of movie you expect
Yeah.
him to be in. It was a nice surprise when he popped
Hmm.
up because
Such a
he's a
good actor,
very
man.
talented actor. Yeah, and uh, it was just nice seeing him again. So yeah, I liked the movie quite a bit. I think it's one of the better movies of the year for this Oscar contending race. But I think
End of the
ultimately it
year.
probably won't get as much as some of the other movies that are projected to come out and have already come out. But yeah, I liked it, and I'm very, very excited to see what Ava does next.
Me too.
But yeah. Yeah, you want to briefly talk about Pluribus?
Yeah, so Alex, I know you're really excited for this show. You remind me that
Oh,
this show is
it's
out,
killing
so
it.
yeah, yeah.
Come on, anybody with come on, any who likes storytelling should be excited about Vince Gilligan putting out another show.
Well, I think we're going to be trying to be caught up with the show throughout the week, so that way we can talk about it as the show is coming out, right? Is that what you were hoping to do?
Sure, yeah, and just to briefly talk about it at the very least. I think it's a fun show to theorize about and to jump in. So we're gonna say spoilers for Pluribus, at least for what Kyle is seeing, because I don't think Kyle's caught up.
No, I've only watched the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, I've watched all three that are out, so I
Dang.
won't spoil anything in the third, but I will.
Mhm.
We will talk about spoilers for 1 and 2 very briefly here. So, yeah, go ahead.
I think it's off to a great start so far. The first episode has a really great hook to it in terms of almost kind of like if the pandemic turned out to be possibly aliens or some type of living organism. You
Well, it
know
is
that
aliens. It is. It's just
it
a
is
code.
aliens.
It's a recipe that was brought from somewhere in space. That's an alien to me. Like they're
Yeah,
not
that's a good point.
aliens, but it's a recipe, right? So it's a wavelength that then the guy figured out this isn't a code, it's a recipe. They mass produce it, it gets out from the rat, affects humans in a certain way, and then boom,
Yeah.
spreads from there. So
Okay. Yeah, that does make sense. Actually, I don't know why I was like maybe it's not aliens. It's
well, they
that.
explained it in episode 2.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm an idiot, Al.
I wasn't paying attention. Must have been scrolling.
No, not me. Not when you're at home.
Uh,
Yeah, but no, the first episode has a really good hook to it. Weirdly, I thought the pacing of the first episode was lacking for me, but I think episode 2 really makes up for it. Episode 2 is probably like the episode I enjoyed the most of the 2 that I've seen so far. But yeah, I think it's going to become a very interesting show. Because I think it's going to relate to like that feeling of isolation or that feeling of being shut off by the world that we are kind of having through the pandemic. I think there's going to be some correlations with that, but also it's going to be a sci-fi show that I just don't have any sort of theories or guesses to right now. Certainly not in the first 2 episodes. Rhea Seehorn, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. She's a terrific actress. I'm glad that she's working with Gilligan again. She just does a great job with showing emotion both vulnerably
yeah,
and internally, but
man,
also
she's
like
so good in Better Call Saul. She is so good in Better Call Saul.
yeah. I this is a good time to mention I still have not finished Better Call Saul.
Oh, stop.
I know.
He
I'm
wrote this
terrible.
with her in mind. He wrote this with her to be the lead. Like
That's
that's how
awesome.
good they love each other. Like it's
Yeah.
man, when it was announced that Vince was going to make a new show outside of the Breaking Bad world and he was going to bring sci-fi to it, and he used to be a writer on the X-Files, which makes a lot of sense. This has a lot of X-Files vibes in it.
Okay. Yeah.
I was all in because I think somebody who is such a good writer like him to break off and do something not in his realm is what we want. We want new, unique storytelling. And what I think works about the show, I just do disagree with the pacing. I think the way it is paced is to hook you hard in that first episode. When that first episode was airing, I kept out loud being like, what is going on? Why are we behaving like this? What is happening? I love it. I love it. I love it. To the point where as soon as it ended, we were only planning to watch the first episode the first night we started it. We weren't, because I was feeling a little ill, wanted to go to bed early, and I was like, no, I'll stay up for the second episode. Like, that's how good this is. And Vince is such a great writer that he keeps you interested with characters. And the thing that I think when I talk about theories that I think is really interesting is like the whole time I'm watching the show, I'm sitting there wondering, like, I'll say it out loud while I'm watching, like, why, like, what is wrong with these people? Like, they're at that dinner scene or that lunch scene, and it's like, how are you sitting there not agreeing with her? How are you looking at your son thinking this is still my son? Like, how are you doing this? And the one guy from France, I was like, there has to be a dude like that. Like before he gets introduced, I was like, when they said there were 11 others and then eventually 12 others out
Yeah.
there, I was like, there's got to be somebody like that who is just taking advantage. And it goes even darker than that. Like, obviously, because it's the world of a show, you can't do some of these things, but you know that if this was a real life event happening, that guy, all those beautiful women next to him would all be celebrities that you've heard of. They would all be very famous people throughout the world because that's like how sadistic this character is, but you can't
Yeah.
actually do that because you can't hire those celebrities to do this.
Yeah.
So that's like, to me, that makes this show even better. Like, it is such a dark take on a really interesting idea. Like, it's such an interesting idea with these aliens. Like, they are one collective hive mind that can't handle negative emotions, but they can't harm you. So should we just kill them all? Like, that's my question. Like, why is she doesn't think about, maybe I should just kill every single one of them and just become a mass murderer and start humanity over? That would eradicate this.
Yeah.
But then also, like, how are they going to test her? Like, how are they going to eventually figure it out? And then they talk about it a little bit, I guess, here and there, but it's just like, it's just very interesting. And he says he thinks he's got 3 to 4 seasons for this show, is where he sees it going. And I think that's crazy because, Vince is just going to keep adding layers and layers. So I've been real interested. I'm really curious to see where they go with, well, I guess I can't get into it because you haven't seen episode 3, so never mind.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, episode 2 was my favorite, pretty much for what you're describing. Like, it shows that the how people are quick to accept
safety, I guess.
Safety, yeah, or accept what is safety or familiarity, or just be able to I don't know, but I think that's what's going to be cool about the show. It's going to be about like moral the vagueness of morality and what is what can be a good idea for humanity versus what is not a good idea for humanity.
And also, like, the theme of like the acceptance of safety for some, but also the acceptance to not break away from the norm. Like, a lot of the people in episode 2 that she meets that are also survivors, they do not want to break away from the norm. And I'm so interested to find out what they will describe, because she says when they're on Air Force One, like, they're all like, oh, you didn't ask what it would be like. And when they all first said that, my first thought was like, that makes so much sense. Like, why hasn't she asked them, like, what is it like to all be connected? And then her response is, would you ask a heroin addict to explain the high of heroin? And it's like, oh, that's a great freaking comeback. That makes so much sense still, because this is such a weird situation. Like, it is so weird. Like, the temptations to not take advantage of what's happening, like the one guy, and even that scene where, is this episode 2? Now I got to make sure I'm not blurring my episode, so I won't.
It's okay. You can describe it a little. I can block it out.
The one-to-one conversation. No, how does episode 2 end?
She has the long conversation with the rich guy and the aliens in the middle, and is like, I don't want any of you guys to be upset. Yeah,
they do talk about it because that episode ends with her running in front of the plane.
Yes.
Yeah. So they do have that talk. That talk's what I'm talking about. That talk is so interesting because even when he says, have I taken advantage of you and your collective mind at all? And there's hesitation. And then the response is interesting. And it's like, this is an interesting and very creative and new and interesting story to tell about what would happen in this situation. Like, I love that this is such a fresh, new story being told. You love Vince for what he can do, man.
I think we're in for a ride if we can keep up with this show and like talk about it every week. I think we are going to have a lot of fun doing so.
I agree,
because it's now getting my brain flowing, and it's also making me appreciate the show more, because I have a feeling I think today it's hard to do satire for the satire on ourselves in the world, because the
Hmm.
internet is able to do satire for us. Everything we see is practically satire in and of itself. Like there's the nuance almost feels gone now. I feel like this show has the potential to be one of the few where the satire can hit, and like the things that we're describing about morality and about safety and just about all those things, I think is going to be intertwined very well in a way that is satirical and hard hitting, but it can be still seen as like a sci-fi show that has entertainment to it. Like
Yeah.
it, I think it's just hard for writers and directors to be able to nail it now because our world is just that crazy. This may be one of the few. I have a good feeling about this show. I feel like this is one of the few where it's going to
Well,
really hit very well.
before we finally got to sit down and watch first two episodes, a lot of the things I kept seeing is a lot of people say like the first two episodes are nuts, like they're crazy, like I didn't expect this to happen. And I've seen a lot of comparisons to Severance, because
Hmm.
Severance, its first season, you're like, what is going on? Like it sets up a world to ask continuous questions, and it gives you some answers while adding more questions. There's a
Yeah.
scene you're going to love in episode 3 that you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And I think as an audience member with this show specifically, I think Vince wants you to sit back and go, well, why isn't she saying this? Like,
Hmm.
she says, because I can talk about this, because so the collective hive mind says like, oh, we can only have 5 out of the 11 or whatever that speak English as a second or third language, but the rest don't. We could translate for you. And it's like, okay, if this is taking place in modern today, there's a lot of technology that she could just say, get me this, blah, blah, blah. Give me the best tech in the world that would allow me to translate without you needing to be there. Like,
Hmm.
but I think he wants us to be thinking that way while watching the show, because would we really think that way if we were her in this situation? We've lost the love of our life and we are now in this weird, messed up world. And really, what this story is a big middle finger to is AI and this collective group. And it's like, what
Yeah.
what do we really want to all be happy for the death of creativity and for honest thinking, and to be able to think outside of a box and to think for ourselves and to make decisions away from the collective? I think this show is going to, if it continues to be as good as only 3 episodes are that I've seen, we're going to sit back and go, is Vince Gilligan one of the greatest storytellers ever, with how good Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul is, and those are in the same universe, and we think that.
Yeah.
Like it's good, man. I can't wait to keep going with this show. So Kyle
Me
will
too,
catch up
man.
on episode 3, and by the time we film next weekend, hopefully he'll have watched 3 and 4 and I'll have watched 4, and we can really dive into it.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
Looking
I
forward
wonder
to
how
it.
many episodes are supposed to be. Let me quickly, before we end,
Yeah,
any
sure.
last words you want to say
I'm
while I look?
sorry. I'm sorry to the viewers. I have not finished Better Call Saul. I don't know why I haven't finished. It's a great show. But
9 episodes in season 1.
episodes. Oh, okay. Unfortunately, it's gonna be gone before we know it, but
Yeah.
it'll be good. It'll be a good time anyway.
Yeah, I'm into it, man. I love it. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys, what did you think of Pluribus and everything else we talked about? Comment below, let us know. Like, subscribe, and share. And as always, thank you for watching, Mom.
See you guys.